His life changed, all because of a single act of kindness. What started as a simple decision to help a stranded stranger on the side of the road unraveled a mystery that would shake everything he thought he knew about trust, identity, and power. This isn't just a story about being in the right place at the right time. It's about how one choice, one moment, can shift the entire course of your future. The mystery behind this act of kindness? It will change your perception about helping people forever. Let's go back to how it all started. It was just after 5 p.m. in Jackson, Mississippi. The sky was heavy with heat, the kind that stuck to your skin and slowed down time. Cars zipped past along Route 51, but no one stopped, not until a boy on a bicycle rolled to the edge of the shoulder. 17-year-old Tyrell Evans had just clocked out of his shift at Bo's Auto Garage. With dirt under his nails, sweat staining his hoodie, and headphones blaring Kendrick Lamar in one ear, he was looking forward to dinner with his grandmother and a hot shower. But up ahead, something made him hit the brakes. A sleek black Mercedes-Benz, hood open, blinkers flashing. And beside it stood a man who looked like he belonged in a glass office building, not stranded on the side of the road in East Jackson. Tyrell slowed down and popped out his earbuds. "You need some help, sir?" he asked. The man looked up, surprised. He was tall, black, well-dressed in a navy blue suit that somehow still looked crisp despite the heat. His tie hung loose around his collar, and frustration was etched into his brow. "Battery's dead. Left my phone at the office. Been standing out here over an hour," the man replied, wiping sweat from his forehead. Tyrell glanced under the hood, then back at his backpack. "I got jumper cables," he said. "Want to give it a shot?" The man chuckled, half relieved. "You do that?" "Sure. Why not?" 10 minutes later, the engine purred back to life like nothing ever happened. "You saved me," the man said, shaking Tyrell's hand firmly. "What's your name?" "Tyrell Evans." "Well, Tyrell Evans," he said, reaching into his inner coat pocket. "Not many people would have stopped. Especially for a guy like me." He handed Tyrell a business card and a white envelope. "If you ever need anything, call me." "I mean that." Tyrell looked down at the card. Grant Winters, Executive Director, the Alabaster Foundation. He didn't know what that was, but the name sounded important. Back at home, Tyrell sat on the edge of his twin bed, the business card and envelope still in his hands. The smell of fried catfish and garlic greens floated in from the kitchen, where Miss Alma, his grandmother, sang along to her gospel records while plating dinner. Tyrell hesitated, then opened the envelope. And froze. A check. $10,000. His name on it. Signed by Grant Winters. He felt like the air left the room. "Tyrell," his grandma called. "You good, baby?" "Yeah. Just tired," he shouted back, slipping the check into a textbook and pushing it under the bed. He stared at the ceiling fan. Was it real? A mistake? A trap? He didn't touch the money. Not right away. Instead, he kept showing up to work. Turning wrenches. Keeping his head down. But his thoughts stayed with that card, and the man behind it. By the fourth night, curiosity won. He called. "Tyrell Evans," the voice answered, smooth and calm. "I was wondering when you'd call." "This check," Tyrell said. "Is it legit?" "Absolutely." "Why me?" "Because you saw someone who needed help, and you didn't ask for anything. That says a lot about you. More than you know." "So what? This is a reward?" "No," Grant replied. "It's an invitation." That word stuck with him. Invitation. To what? 3 nights later, Tyrell got a text from an unknown number. Holloway Park. 8 p.m., come alone. He didn't know why he went. He didn't even tell his grandmother. But something told him this was bigger than money. Holloway Park was empty when he arrived. The swings creaked in the breeze, and the street lights flickered like ghosts were playing with the wires. Then, from a bench under the sycamore tree, Grant appeared. This time, he wasn't wearing a suit. Just jeans, a jacket, and sneakers. "You came," he said, not smiling. "I have questions," Tyrell replied. "Good. That means you're smart." Grant pulled out a folder. Thick. Heavy. There are 5 names inside. All people in your community. Some wear badges. Some run businesses. All of them have secrets. Tyrell opened the folder, flipping past photographs, addresses, and handwritten notes. Some of these people were familiar. A police lieutenant. A city council member. Even his school principal. "What is this?" "Corruption," Grant said bluntly. "And an opportunity." "Opportunity for what?" "For you to see what's really going on in this city. To decide if you want to be part of something bigger." "I see something in you, Tyrell. Something rare." Tyrell looked at the folder. This wasn't what he expected. This wasn't just about helping someone on the side of the road anymore. This was surveillance. Justice. Maybe even danger. "Why me?" "Because you look when others turn away," Grant said. "You see people. That makes you powerful. Even if you don't realize it yet." That night, Tyrell lay awake staring at the ceiling. He opened the folder again. There it was, evidence of abuse, lies, money moving hands where it shouldn't. And one name stopped him cold. Detective Ronald Myers. The same cop who'd pulled Tyrell over last year for riding suspiciously. The same one who let him go with a smirk and a threat. "One wrong move, boy, and we'll bury you in paperwork." Tyrell never forgot it. Now, Myers' face stared back at him from the folder. Tyrell didn't ask to be part of a revolution. He just wanted to get home that day. But life had other plans. And the deeper he looked into that folder, the more he realized he was being watched too. Some opportunities come in envelopes. Others come with a warning. And sometimes, you don't realize the cost until the moment you can't turn back. For Tyrell Evans, what began as a small act of kindness, helping a stranger with car trouble, was now unraveling into something far more dangerous. A powerful man had handed him a folder full of names. And somewhere inside that folder was a threat he never saw coming. Tyrell sat in the dim light of his bedroom, the folders still open across his lap. Each page he flipped felt heavier. More dangerous. Photos. Bank statements. Emails. Ties between police officers, city officials, even local business owners, all pointing to a trail of corruption stretching across Jackson like barbed wire. But the name that haunted him most was still Detective Ronald Myers. Tyrell was walking home from his friend Jamal's house, hoodie up, headphones in. A squad car pulled up beside him. No lights. No siren. Just the low, rolling growl of a predator. "Hey! Where are you headed?" the voice barked. It was Myers. Clean-shaven, white, smirking like he already knew the answer. Tyrell froze. "Just going home." "ID?" "I'm 17. "Then you definitely don't need to be out here alone. Hands where I can see him." He searched Tyrell's backpack. Tossed out his books. His lunch. Even made him take off his shoes. Then he leaned in real close and said it. "One wrong move, boy, and we'll bury you in paperwork." Now, that same man had his face stapled to corruption files. Grant had warned him, "You're not just a good kid. You're a witness." Tyrell didn't sleep that night. The next morning, something felt off. He biked to Bo's garage like normal, but the second he stepped inside, his boss, Big Rob, gave him a look he'd never seen before. "You all right?" Rob asked, wiping grease from his hands. "Yeah, why?" "Couple cops came around this morning, asking about you." "Me?" "Said they were investigating a stolen Mercedes." "Sounded like bull to me." "You in some kind of trouble, T?" Tyrell's heart pounded. "No, I don't think so." But in that moment, he knew someone was watching. And they were getting closer. That night, he called Grant again. "They came to my job." "Then it started," Grant replied calmly. "I was hoping we'd have more time." "More time for what?" "To prepare you." "Prepare me for what?" Tyrell snapped. "What exactly is the Alabaster Foundation?" Silence. Then, "It's not what you think," Grant said. "It's not a charity. It's not a nonprofit. It's a network." "A network?" "Of people who've been silenced, discredited, ignored. We don't ask permission to fight back, we gather the truth and expose it." Tyrell sat down slowly. "So, you're saying this is some kind of vigilante group?" "No," Grant replied. "We're truth tellers. And now, you're one of us." Tyrell wanted to walk away. He could have burned the folder, blocked the number, forgotten the man on the side of the road. But something in him refused. Too many people in his neighborhood had been told to stay quiet. Too many names on that list had made life harder for families just like his. He couldn't unsee what he saw. 3 days passed. Tyrell kept his head down, watched his back. But everything changed again on Friday. That's when his best friend Jamal got picked up by police. No explanation. No warning. Just gone. Tyrell got the call from Jamal's sister. She was crying. They said he matched a description, something about vandalism. But he was at home. Tyrell's stomach dropped. "Do you know who arrested him?" he asked. "A cop named Myers." Tyrell biked straight to Holloway Park. This time, Grant wasn't waiting on the bench. Instead, a different man stood there. Mid-40s. Bald. Dark sunglasses. Military posture. "You Tyrell?" the man asked. "Where's Grant?" "He sent me." "And who are you?" "The one who's gonna keep your friend alive, if you do exactly what we say." Tyrell was done playing games. "You want something from me? Say it straight." "Fine," the man said. "We're going to expose Myers. But we need help on the inside. And you? You've got the eyes, the ears, the story. I'm not some spy. No. You're something better. You're a witness with proof. And you already made the mistake of helping someone powerful, which means you're in this now, whether you like it or not." He handed Tyrell a burner phone and a USB drive. "Everything we've got is on there. But we need more. We need your story." "Why me?" "Because you're the kid no one expected to fight back." That night, Tyrell stared at the driver. His hands shook. On it were photos, court records, body cam leaks, evidence that could bury Detective Myers and half the city council. But uploading it would make him a target. And if what the man said was true, Jamal's life might already depend on it. He took a deep breath, plugged in the drive. The files opened. One folder stood out, Operation Silencer. He clicked. Inside, a surveillance video began to play. It was footage from a back alley. A man being beaten, dragged, tossed into a van. The timestamp was from last night. And the victim? It was Jamal. He thought he could handle the truth. He thought all he was doing was helping a stranger. But Tyrell just crossed a line there's no walking back from. Jamal's been taken. The network is watching. And Myers isn't done yet. They say information is power. But what happens when the truth doesn't set you free? It paints a target on your back. Tyrell stared at the footage playing on his laptop. The grainy video flickered, but the horror was clear. Jamal. Bound. Beaten. Thrown into a black van. The timestamp? Just 14 hours ago. And stamped in the corner of the footage. Operation Silencer, Tier 1 Containment. His fingers trembled over the keyboard. A silent war raged in his chest, between fear and fury. "What is this?" he muttered. "What is this really?" He picked up the burner phone the man in the park gave him, pressed one, and waited. One ring. Two. Then Grant's voice, sharp and low. "You saw the video. Where is he?" Tyrell asked. "Alive, for now. But if you want to keep it that way, you need to listen closely." What followed wasn't a request. It was a mission. Grant wasn't just offering justice anymore. He was demanding it. Tomorrow, Grant said, Detective Myers is hosting a closed-door community forum at the precinct. We believe it's a cover. He'll be deleting evidence, files that connect him to everything we've uncovered. "So, what do you want me to do?" Tyrell asked, heartbeat spiking. "You're going in. I'm a kid. They won't let me near that place. That's why we made sure your name is on the guest list." "How?" "You're a neighborhood success story now, Tyrell. Scholarship student. Volunteer. They want to show off their diversity badge before the election. And you? You're perfect PR." The next morning came fast. Tyrell wore the best clothes he had, pressed khakis, a collared shirt. Still, he couldn't stop adjusting the sleeves, fidgeting with the cuffs. Outside the station, media crews buzzed. Politicians posed for photos. Local business owners sipped coffee from free police department mugs. To the world, it looked like progress. But Tyrell knew better. Inside, the forum was a theater. Myers stood at the front, smiling like a man who'd never laid a finger on anyone. "We believe in transparency," Myers declared. "In second chances. In community." Tyrell's stomach turned. He scanned the room. Grant had said there'd be a drop point. A janitor's cart parked near the back hallway, slightly off-center. Tucked beneath the trash liner, a keycard and flash drive. His palms sweaty as he walked past it, casually tossing a napkin in. In a single move, he slipped the card and drove it into his back pocket. He was in. The real mission was in the basement. Tyrell excused himself to the restroom and took the back stairwell down, keycard in hand. The walls changed. No posters. No smiles. Just cinder block and flickering lights. At the bottom was a locked steel door. He swiped the card. A green light flashed. It opened. Rows of file cabinets. Servers. A private command center, hidden beneath a public building. He found the labeled cabinet, M. Myers, R. Inside. Bodycam footage. Altered reports. Confidential emails. Surveillance photos, some of himself. Some of Jamal. And worse, others he didn't recognize. Other young men. Black. Profiled. Silenced. Some had red XS over their photos. He took out his phone and began filming everything. Suddenly, a voice behind him. "You shouldn't be here, son." Tyrell froze. He turned. It was Myers. The smile was gone. In its place, a cold, calculating stare. "You think you're clever?" Myers asked, stepping closer. "You think this little stunt gets your friend back?" Tyrell said nothing. His phone, still recording, now tucked behind a stack of folders on the desk. "I always knew you were too curious," Myers said. "Just like your dad." "What did you say?" "Oh, you didn't know?" A revelation dropped like thunder. "Your father was one of the first names on our list," Myers smirked. "He didn't just disappear, kid. He got too close. Just like you." Tyrell's hands balled into fists. "Where's Jamal?" "Gone. Unless you're smart enough to forget this ever happened." Myers turned to leave. "You walk out that door," he added, "and you never speak of this again." Tyrell stood frozen, his world spinning. Had Myers just confessed to murdering his father? And was Jamal still alive, or had he already been silenced? The files were still in his hand. The truth. The evidence. But if he left now, they might never find Jamal. And if he stayed, he might not walk out of that room. Then, a voice in his ear. From the burner phone, still in his pocket. A tiny earpiece. A whisper. "Don't move. Backup is coming. Trust me, just hold on." It was Grant. And he wasn't alone. Tyrell took one breath. One step back toward the desk. His hand reached out for the flash drive. And then, the lights went out. The room plunged into total darkness. Tyrell's heart raced in the black void. His mind screamed for clarity. What just happened? And then, the sound of footsteps. Heavy. Fast. Purposeful. Tyrell. Grant's voice, louder now, unmistakable, cut through the silence, but Tyrell's pulse was thundering in his ears. He couldn't see a thing. His breath quickened, his hands still gripping the flash drive as if it might vanish. "I'm here. Just stay calm. I'm right next to you. Keep your head down." The lights flickered back to life, only for Tyrell's eyes to burn from the harsh fluorescent glow. He squinted, trying to make sense of the scene. A figure, Grant, loomed before him, his eyes wide with urgency. "You need to move. Now." But as Tyrell attempted to take a step, something sharp pricked at his neck, a dart. He froze. It wasn't just the darkness that threatened him now. It was the overwhelming feeling of being trapped, cornered. He was no longer in control. Someone else had pulled the strings. "Who the hell are you?" Tyrell asked, struggling to maintain composure. "What do you want from me?" Grant looked around quickly before pulling Tyrell into the farthest corner of the room, behind a massive steel cabinet. "Shut up for a second. They're coming." A soft thud echoed outside the door. Tyrell tried to look through the crack, but Grant grabbed his arm tightly, pulling him back. "I told you, don't make a sound. I don't have much time." Grant was holding something in his other hand, a small device with a red blinking light. His knuckles were white as he squeezed it tight. "This is your last chance," Grant said, voice barely above a whisper. "We get out of here, and you stop asking questions. You just follow me." Tyrell's mind was a whirlwind. Questions. Answers. The truth. But the truth, it seemed, was a dangerous thing. The door slammed open. Booted feet marched in, accompanied by the sharp, hollow clink of metal, like the sound of chains dragging against concrete. Tyrell's stomach churned. A man stepped inside, Detective Myers, his face hard and unreadable. Behind him, 2 armed officers flanked him. "Where the hell is he?" Myers barked. Tyrell's heart skipped a beat. They were looking for him. They were hunting for him. Tyrell swallowed hard and glanced at Grant. Their eyes locked. Grant's lips pressed tight, signaling Tyrell to stay silent. "Who?" one of the officers asked, glancing at the scattered papers and files. Myers grunted, his face twisted with impatience. "The kid. He must have gone down here. He knows too much. We need to find him." Time slowed. Tyrell could hear the blood pumping in his ears, feel the tension winding tighter in his chest. The officers moved past him, too close. Too close. One of them knelt down and examined the floor. The officer's flashlight swept past him in a slow arc. "Clear," the officer muttered. Myers didn't speak. His eyes were scanning the room, moving over every inch of it. His gaze was cold, calculating. It felt like he knew they were there. "But how?" "You think you're untouchable, kid?" Myers finally said, looking directly at Tyrell, his eyes narrowing as he inched forward. "You're nothing. And if you don't stay quiet, you'll end up just like your father. A forgotten corpse." Tyrell's breath hitched. His body stiffened, but he didn't dare make a sound. Was it a threat? A warning? His father. The image of his father's cold face, the unanswered questions, flooded back. Was his father really involved in this? And if he was, how deep did this go? The officers continued their search, growing more frantic. They checked under desks, behind chairs, peering into every corner. The clock was ticking. Tyrell could feel it in his chest. "This is taking too long," one of the officers muttered. "We're losing time. The boss won't be happy." Myers glanced at the officer, his jaw clenched. "No one is supposed to find anything down here. I want that kid's file erased. Now." Tyrell's stomach dropped. This wasn't just about covering up Jamal anymore. It was about silencing him forever. The seconds stretched like hours. Suddenly, Grant pulled Tyrell down lower, closer to the ground. "Get ready," he whispered. "I'm going to distract them." Tyrell's heart beat faster. A plan? Now? In the middle of everything? Before he could respond, Grant stood up suddenly, stepping into the open with his hands raised. "Looking for me?" Grant's voice was laced with mockery. "I've got the files you need." The officers whipped around, eyes wide with alarm. Myers narrowed his gaze, his face darkening. "Where are the files?" he growled. Grant smiled, unwavering. "You'll get them when I'm sure the kid gets out of here alive." Myers took a slow step forward, his face reddening. "You think you can negotiate with me, Grant?" He flicked his hand toward the officers. "Take him." The officers moved forward, and in that moment, Tyrell realized he had no choice. No more waiting. He had to act. The room felt like it was closing in. The truth he'd uncovered, every file, every secret, had to get out. Suddenly, the ground beneath Tyrell's feet gave way. The ground beneath Tyrell's feet gave way. His body lurched forward, as the sudden drop sent him spiraling into darkness. It felt like an eternity before he hit the ground. But the moment his back slammed against the cold concrete, something primal kicked in. He gasped for air, heart pounding, lungs screaming for breath. It was a trap. They were trying to bury him. From above, the sound of footsteps thundered down. He looked up, disoriented, to see Detective Myers standing above him, a cold smile creeping over his lips. "Thought you could run?" Myers sneered, his face twisted with malice. You're just a kid, Tyrell. You don't get to walk away from this. Not now. Tyrell's body screamed for movement. His hands felt the cold metal beneath him. Every fiber of his being told him to get up and run, but someone was there. Someone was in control. Grant's voice echoed from above, but it wasn't loud enough. The hole where Tyrell had fallen had turned into a cage. Tyrell realized, with a sinking heart, that Grant was gone. Betrayed. Left to deal with his fate alone. Grant! Tyrell shouted, his voice hoarse, but there was no answer. Myers leaned down, his face filling Tyrell's vision. You really thought you could expose us? Myers laughed, the sound dark and hollow. You're just another pawn. Just like your father. Tyrell's heart skipped. His father? You don't know anything about my dad. Tyrell spat back, trying to crawl toward the edge of the pit. What does he have to do with this? Myers crouched next to him, his grip tight on Tyrell's arm. Your father was the one who started all of this, kid. He was the one who set things in motion. And now, you're going to finish it. The truth hit Tyrell like a punch in the gut. His father. The very person he'd always looked up to. The one he thought was dead. He hadn't just been a victim, he'd been involved. He was a part of this dark underworld. In that moment, everything changed. The walls of the pit felt closer, more suffocating. Tyrell realized that it wasn't just the officers who had betrayed him, it was the very system he had once trusted. But the weight of it all didn't break him. It fueled him. In the distance, the sound of tires screeching echoed. Tyrell's mind raced, he wasn't alone. Someone was coming. I won't let you get away with this, Tyrell muttered, clenching his fists. The anger surged within him, overpowering the fear. Myers' face twisted in annoyance. You're nothing. You'll never win. But Tyrell wasn't listening anymore. His eyes locked onto the piece of metal sticking out of the wall next to him, a sharp, jagged edge. His breath quickened. It was now or never. His survival instinct kicked in. In one swift motion, Tyrell grabbed the piece of metal and lunged at Myers, who stumbled back in surprise. Get away from me! Tyrell shouted, his voice breaking through the thick tension. Myers raised his hand, reaching for his gun, but Tyrell was faster. He swiped at the detective's hand, knocking the weapon from his grasp. The gun slid across the floor, out of reach. Tyrell's heart was pounding, the adrenaline rushing through his veins. He didn't have time to think. He had to act. In a single move, Tyrell launched himself toward the edge of the pit, grabbing the nearest pipe and pulling himself up with all the strength he had left. His body screamed in protest, but he ignored it. He wasn't going to let this man win. With one final burst of energy, Tyrell made it to the top. He stood there for a moment, catching his breath, before glancing at Myers, who was now struggling to stand up, his face red with rage. You're not getting away, Tyrell said, his voice steady but filled with defiance. Suddenly, the sound of sirens wailed in the distance. Tyrell turned to see the flashing red and blue lights of a police cruiser approaching fast. Grant had done it. He had called for backup. The officers in the cruiser piled out, guns drawn, ready for action. Tyrell barely had time to register what was happening before Myers took a step back, his eyes wide with panic. No! This wasn't supposed to happen. Myers screamed, but it was too late. As the officers moved in, they quickly apprehended Myers and the other corrupt officers who had been complicit in the cover-up. Their grip on power was slipping, and the weight of justice was finally crashing down on them. In the days that followed, the truth came out. Tyrell's name became synonymous with courage and the fight for justice. What started as an act of kindness turned into a battle for his life, and in the end, it changed everything. The files Grant had risked his life to protect were handed over to the proper authorities. The network of corruption that had once seemed untouchable was dismantled piece by piece. As Tyrell stood before a crowd, his father's secrets exposed for the world to see, he realized the power of truth and the cost of doing what's right. Tyrell wasn't the same person he had been before. The world had been darkened by the corrupt systems that had once controlled it, but now there was hope. Real change was possible. And Tyrell had learned that one simple act of kindness, one decision to stand up when everyone else was too afraid, could change the world forever.